Welcome back to another episode of the Nintendo Rewind. My name's Cody Christian, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Becker. We're rewinding and recapping last week for Nintendo, talking about their financial results for the end of the third quarter for Nintendo. And before you guys tune out, I promise we're going to make it interesting. It was difficult squeezing orange juice out of a stone, but hey, we've got a topic this week that's not just Nintendo Switch 2 news. Thank you guys so freaking much for joining us today. That being said, before we dive into any of that, Chris, how is it going, my dude?
It's going great. It's going wonderful. I couldn't be happier to be here with you. Marvelous. Excited. There's no one I'd rather be talking to right now than you.
I
How are you
feel
doing?
very much the same way. There is absolutely no one I'd rather be talking to than you. Maybe the backs of my eyelids, but that's pretty much it. I'd like to take a nap. That's where I'm at. No, it's been going pretty good. Overall, this last weekend and this last week's been really, really busy. But kind of getting back into my groove again, trying to get everything back under control. I just wrapped up a stream playing some Earthbound. Susie was there. Susie came in early and then said like a few things and then peaced out and never saw her again. She redeemed first over there at my stream.
Well,
and then
she's there first and
she
out
was.
first.
She was. I think that's really really what happened. But no, it was good. It's almost like a first playthrough of that game because it's been so many years since like I've actually like watched it. Like, I haven't watched a casual play of that in years, and I haven't played it myself in such a long time. But there is a little bit of like 90s jank to it, where it just feels like, man, this game is hard at times. And then the punishment, it felt severe. Like tonight, I had Paula in my party, and we were in, I don't know how familiar you are with Earthbound. I'm not like massively familiar with it, but we were in Threed, and it's the town with all the zombies. And Paula kept dying over and over and over again, and I kept having to go to the hospital and spend $120 every time she died. And I was like, she's going to bankrupt me. If I don't figure out how to progress in this area without dying, I will be poor. But you know, I eventually figured it out. The strategy is don't fight anything. Run away as fast as you possibly can, and then work your way back to despawn enemies off the screen. So, you know, cheese it a little bit. But I've been enjoying that playthrough. Sunday, we took Lando and Trip and my niece and my nephew, and then my sister was in for a little bit. And my wife.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, not familiar at all. Who could that possibly be? Sierra Storm 94. And then my wife's sister and her husband, and we all went to Hot Wheels Monster Trucks. What was it? What was the subtitle? Glow and Fire show, and it was all right. Like, it was okay. I think Monster Jam's better, like from a spectacle standpoint.
It was like one step up from those photos that you would see from the Willy Wonka festival.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It legitimately was good, but I think as far as the show is concerned, Monster Jam does a better show. And like, we were leaving there, and I was talking to my sister. She rode with me. My wife rode with her sister on the way up to the Civic Center that we went to watch it at. And I was talking with Sierra, and I was like, I think Monster Jam might have been better as far as the show goes, but I like the pre-show a whole lot more, because like, it was like, it's cool getting to like, because the boys, they really love their monster trucks, specifically Lando, and he loves his actual monster trucks like Tiger Shark and Race Ace and Gunkster and Skellysaurus and all the other ones that are on there. And it's cool because like, all of those like Hot Wheels toys are blown up to life-size monster trucks, and you get to see them doing monster truck things.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that back and forth, and then Lando from the back seat, in his 5-year-old self, goes, yeah, I think Monster Jam was better too. And he never like thinks it, like, he very much lives in the moment. So it was like a very kind of adult consideration thought from him, where it was like, and I looked at Sierra and I was like, he has no clue what he's saying. He's just repeating everything we're saying right now. But it was good. It was good.
That's good. It kept your attention the whole time?
No, I actually fell asleep right before the intermission during the show. They had this like one truck that was driving along, and it was spitting fire, and you would expect that to be cool, but it was actually kind of lame. Because the one before that, the last time we saw the Hot Wheels Monster Truck show, they had a literal transformer that did the same thing, and it would it unfolded into a gigantic T-Rex, and it spewed even bigger fire out of it, and then bent down and picked up a car and ripped it apart with its jaws and its arms, ripped it apart and dropped it onto the floor. It was just kind of lame. I fell asleep.
Wasn't great?
No, it was bad.
Yeah.
That part was bad. I fell asleep. I took a nap through the intermission, and then right after the intermission was over, I woke up, and then I pulled up Balatro on my phone and played Balatro for the next 45 minutes.
Okay, so it was pretty good, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I give it like a 7 out of 10. It was swimming in sevens out here.
You got to see your family, hang out with your family.
Yeah. With headphones on, literally like couldn't hear them at all the entire time. So it wasn't like, it was
just pantomiming at each other.
Yeah. I would look over and be like, hey, are you having fun? And no one would listen to me. So it was fine time.
Yeah.
They all had,
and then they would look over at
too.
you and see you sleeping and knew you weren't having a good time.
It wasn't that I wasn't having a good time. It was I was really tired. And that part was really boring. That singular part, the intermission and then the fire. And again, you would expect
the
fire.
fire.
You
You
would
would think,
expect fire to be cool, but it just wasn't.
It just wasn't close enough.
It was lame. Yeah, I didn't like get my eyebrows singed off, and the fire wasn't big enough.
That could have been fun. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't do anything nearly as exciting. I've been working on getting some music that I can listen to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get some music that I can listen to because I've been writing more. So
Mhm.
I've been not only writing but also handwriting.
Oh, that's painful. I hate handwriting. I'd
It-
rather type everything. I will never turn back to pencil and paper unless I absolutely have to.
I feel bad for anyone that has to read what I'm handwriting. But I've been typing more than handwriting, but I was handwriting some. And then but I'm trying to find music to listen to because I can't listen to music with lyrics. I can't listen to a podcast while I'm writing because I just listen to those words and then they get me distracted and I go look up other stuff. And then I discovered a new thing that I can't do, or decipher your stick figure.
So rude. What's she giving you such a hard time in the chat for? What'd you do to deserve this?
When is she not giving me a hard time? It's a good thing. I think the reason that your sister and I get along so well is because I love words of affirmation and she loves to tear down my spirit. So
It's just the opposite of what you want. It would be really nice if for once you told me I was cool, but you're not.
Yeah, why would I lie to you? I'm too good of a friend to lie to you.
Oh, I'd kill you if I had to.
I could kill you if I had to faster. But the thing is that the thing that I learned is faster. Yes. So I have to get. I was listening to music, but the problem is I was like looking up like lyric-free music, and it's just the music with lyrics, but they take the lyrics out, and so you just the music, and so then I can just hear the lyrics in my head, and it's terrible. So
Just go to lo-fi beats to chill and relax to, or study to, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I do have that game on Steam that it is exactly that. I think that's what it's called. But I found a song that I could listen to, and I found it.
Just
I
one
listened
song?
to it. I put it on loop, and then I just have it on repeat, and then I'm like writing about like murder to this like really nice sweet song, and it's pretty nice.
Here's another recommendation. You've got Nintendo Music. Just go on there and look for the extended versions, the ones that you can extend, and just put 10 hours of Wii Shop music on while
I'm just gonna listen to the dog walk music from
yes,
Nintendo.
Dog walk.
Repeat.
You and Lando would get
Or
along
Dog
really
Bath.
well. What a callback. What a callback to when Nintendo Switch Online music app launched. Oh, man. But no, like you can
good
always
time.
do. I've been listening to a lot of the Metroid lo-fi album that got put out. I think it's like Chillwave Beats or something like that.
Yeah.
The
Can't
Zelda
do
Funk
anything
album
that
is really
reminds
good.
Me of anything else.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I've never
mind.
heard. I've never heard this song before. And then I heard it, and then I was like, "Oh, I liked it."
You can do.
It almost.
You can do like 13 hours of Coconut Mall all at
That's
once.
true. I could. Yeah. Yeah, it would drive me crazy. Yeah. And Sierra's gonna hum me an album. Okay.
That's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Just I'll be listening to it. I'll be like, oh, this is pretty nice. And then it's like, yo, it just her just destroying me for 12 hours.
It'd be perfect.
I'll be like, this is great. Thank you.
Yeah.
She does wonders for my confidence. But yeah,
It's
that's
like when you told her you were going to do stand up and she was like, you shouldn't do that. And you're like, why? And she's like, because I would be scared to do it. So you also shouldn't.
well, no, she was nervous about people being mean to me for doing it. She was,
No one's gonna be mean to you for doing stand-up.
yeah.
I don't think
Brooks
so.
is here. Shout out to Brooks.
Brooksy might be mean to you for doing stand-up. She says you should do stand-up, specifically in the live chat there. Silent Brooks
Oh, so
saying you
she
should
could
do
be
it so
mean.
she can be mean to you. That's...
Brooksy would not do that. Yeah, what if he flops? Yeah, Sierra's like, her confidence in me really drives me day to day.
It's what keeps you going. It's your fuel.
That's what keeps me going. Yeah.
Forget
I
gamer
live-
fuel. You
I,
just
yeah,
need that.
I live to disappoint Sierra.
Did you
One of my-
find the... Listen, I think we talked about it last week. Did you find the Post Malone Oreos yet?
I don't think did we talk about that?
Maybe I just talked about it on my stream. I'm excited about them. I want to try them.
You
I've
asked
heard
me
nothing
about
but
it.
good things.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be caramel and cookie butter.
They had them at the store,
Mhm.
and I saw them.
And you
But I
thought of
didn't get
me,
'em.
and then you said, I'm not buying these.
I didn't think of you because I will put your stream on, but I don't listen to it usually.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'll listen to it from time to time.
I put your stream
Settle
on and
down.
listen intently.
Well, that's not true because
That is true.
the one
Some-
time
some
you
days-
you had the stream on, and then you were in another stream with Zed.
Well, listen, I had things
listen,
to do.
If you're gonna lie to me, at least you're doing it to my face.
I had things to do. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you behind your back. That'd be weird.
That's true. Although I have heard a rumor,
Mm-hmm.
that you want to fight, you want to tussle.
With who?
Me, yeah, you want to go toe to toe,
Why would I want to do that?
face to face. I don't know. It's for charity.
Who told you that? I mean, if
For
it's for charity, I'd do it. If it's for charity, I'd box
Yeah.
you. I'd do it. We can go to Creator Clash. Me and you. Cody
Clash,
Christian.
yeah.
Cody, the
Uh-huh.
Feather Christian versus Chris, the Anchor Becker. Can this feather make that anchor sink like no other? Only time will tell.
That's true. Throws both off a roof or falling at the same speed. You know, that's what we can say. That's how we'll advertise it.
Listen, I don't even think that would be a fair fight. I'm all of 5'10". You would absolutely have mods open a channel point poll who wins in a fight. You
Yeah.
are. So for those
up
who
a
don't
poll.
know what Chris looks like, I'm not going to tell you exactly what Chris looks like, but I can tell you he's a lot taller than me and his wingspan is a lot longer. And he's also like definitely in a heavier weight class than me. I don't think I could go toe to toe with Chris. I think he would destroy me if it really came down to it. Plus, he's had wrestling experience. I don't want to have to kill him just to be able to get him to not hurt me.
Well, you would not be able to kill me. First
Well,
of all,
Listen,
if
bring
we're gonna-
gun
What is
into
it with your
That's-
family thinking that you can both kill me?
I
I think
literally
you're
said I couldn't unless I brought gun.
What do you think your sister said? The exact same.
Did she say she was gonna shoot you?
She said she would with a gun and a knife. That's
That's the only way I'm taking you down. In a fair fist fight, there's no way it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You kill me.
yeah. Nice.
If it was a
She's
fight
like,
to the
"Don't
death
forget-"
and you were forced to fight me until I die, like you would destroy me. I know my role.
All
But
right. Fair enough. What are we even doing here right now? By the way, what's the
We're
show?
discussing whether or not you could kill me in a fight. You know, in terms of our relationship, the comedy duo that we are, we're Abbott and Costello, right? I'm Abbott, the straight man. You're Costello, the funny man. And you could destroy me if you really wanted to. Like, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
We were saying how you should do stand up though.
Chris has only punched one guy. Okay, well, I punched one guy. I did grab a guy and throw him against the wall.
Why
And,
would you
well,
do that?
There
That
is a
sounded so
reason.
judgy the way I just said. Why would you do that? What is
Yeah.
wrong with you, Chris? Why do you have anger issues?
Do I have anger? Yes. Everyone that knows me knows I have anger issues.
I don't think I've ever seen you actually mad about anything.
I'm pretty pissed at right now.
What are you pissed about?
The way he described me was like one step away from just a fat slob. And
In what way did
and-
I describe you as that? Listen, I said you're the
Listen, I
funny
can't wait for
guy.
this
I'm
fight.
the not funny
I'm
guy.
really looking
You're
forward to
6'50", and I'm like 5.
6'2.25". Thank you very much.
Listen, you've still got like 5 inches on me, like, and probably multiple places. If you know, I'm kidding. I better just stop. This is a family-friendly show. This is a family-friendly
What
show.
are we talking
No,
about?
I don't know anymore. Listen, but what I do know is that I'm thankful that I don't have to worry about you actually wanting to fight me because you love me and I love you, and we're in a good relationship here, and I don't want to ruin that. So I'm super thankful for that. And then also, I want to make sure that I tell everybody about how thankful I am for them going and supporting us over at NintendoRewind.com. If you would like to directly support our content, guide what we're discussing, and get exclusive videos that won't be uploaded to our YouTube channel, you can sign up to become a member. Plus, you get some merch discounts. And every dollar spent on our merch also helps us continue to produce this show. There's even a tier that only costs $1 a month, and with it, you get a shout out. That said, I want to thank the members Calamity Nolan, Sierra Christian, and Shiny Bird for all their gracious support. Also of note, we haven't recorded the first episode yet, and I need to talk to Chris about if he would be available this weekend. Right now, are you available this weekend?
Am I available this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend.
Let me check my schedule. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yep. We're going to be recording our very first episode of the Nintendo Rewind Rewinds, the Nintendo Power promotional VHS set, where we're going to be focusing on Donkey Kong Country Exposed for the very first episode. If you would like to get that day and date coming to your inbox on there by Sunday, you can go sign up NintendoRewind.com. Get that extra bonus episode. You need to sign up at the $5 a month tier or higher, the Rewinder tier, the silver tier there, in order to get that episode. It's $5 a month, and we get 97% of that money rather than like if you support us on Twitch, where we only get like 50% of that money. So without any further ado, we're going to dive into the main topic. Chris, let me tell you. The main topic, you know what the main topic is, so we spent a half an hour talking about it. I hope you know. Did you listen to a thing I said? No, you didn't. You probably muted me the entire time and did something else. Listen, the main topic is probably easily one of the most boring topics that you could possibly ever think of, but the way that I want to talk about this is something that's a little bit different and the direction that I want to take it. And it is Nintendo released their latest third quarter financial results. Now, mind you, their third quarter ends in March. It's kind of weird because their third quarter ends in March when most people's fourth quarters are ending around that time or even slightly earlier. So what we're going to be talking about, though, is more importantly what we think this means for the future of Nintendo and how we think this is going to affect us as gamers, because it's a lot of businessy jargon that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's kind of like, hey, do you really want to talk about this? And most people are like, I don't think so. No. But there are some important highlights here that I would like to talk about. This was released today. They did a full financial briefing. I mean, you can easily find this. This is all public data out here. But the first segment here is all about their like overall sales for Q1 through Q3, for ordinary profit, net profit, consolidated financial forecasts, so on and so forth. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about here is that yeah.
Can I ask you something before we jump into this?
Yeah, ask away.
What's an easy way to get to this Word doc? Because our show notes, every time I go to get to my show notes, I go to my email, then I have to switch over to my other email. Then I search show notes, and then I find the show notes, and then I click on the show notes, and then they open. That's how I find them every week.
Just bookmark the doc. That's all you have to do. Just bookmark only the doc.
That works.
It's a website.
I'm gonna do that. I don't know what's the, I can work Google. I don't know about the rest. Bookmark.
Yeah, just bookmark the doc, and then you can just click that one button and it'll go straight to it. For me, I just type in docs and it automatically starts pulling it up because I've been to it 15 million times. So.
Yeah, but if I type in docs,
DOCS dot?
Well, it's that one.
Yeah, because it's the one that you go to a bajillion times a week.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't go to it. Do you not check the doc?
I'm on the dock right now.
Listen, this is boring. This is boring information. I don't want to make it more boring than it already is. But the first note here that I want to talk about is this fiscal year 25 Q1 through Q3, and mind you, like, it is really hard to tell and dig out of this what Nintendo's actually trying to get at. Are they talking about everything that they're doing? Are they talking about just Nintendo Switch? Because there is like everything going on here. Dedicated video game platform 1, mobile IP related income, etc. number 2, and then others 3. For now, I fully believe that this document is entirely focused on just the Nintendo Switch in and of itself. But there's some important stuff to note here. So fiscal year 25, Q1 through Q3, indicates the period between April 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024. Okay? The expectation is that they are going to be, compared to fiscal year Q1 2023, going into Q1 Q3 2024, going into Q1 Q3 2025, there is a 30% forecasted deficit compared to what they did the previous year at that same time frame. Chris, how's that make you feel? And what do you think is some of the prime contributors to the reason that we're getting 30% less stuff bought from Nintendo for that month, for that set of months?
Well, you mean I think it's just, well, there's a couple of things. One, the Switch is pretty much kaputs.
Mm-hmm.
What people are bringing to it, not great. The more games that we get, if you have a game that has any sort of like 3D graphics at all, it's just people are like, this game's great, but don't play it on the Switch. So I feel like that is a contributing factor where people are just like, don't get it on the Switch, play it on the Switch 2, wait for the Switch 2 version, stuff like that. So I think we're just seeing people talk about that sort of stuff. And then Nintendo themselves, their games seem to be doing well. But when it comes to the other game, I mean, plus the eShop is a mess.
Yeah. That's
not helping. Just absolute garbage on that eShop. 99% of it.
I mean, it's mostly, I don't know if I want to call them, hang on, let me think how it better. Let's just come up with a euphemism for the type of game that we're talking about. Uwu games, if you know what I mean. Uwu games. Like, it's just uwu games. Slop filled.
Just a lot of game. Like, you get like Supermarket Simulator on Steam does well. So then people just use like AI art generators, create some fake art for the key art for the Switch, and then make a game that's sort of like that. And
if they even are actually making it and not just copying what they've been able to extract from the base game that already existed.
Right. Yeah. And they just put that out and release it. And there's like, and then they'll release like 4 or 5 of them and then release them as a bundle, but they'll have them as separate bundles. One will have all 4 games together, one will have 3 of them together, one will have 2, and then one will have the other 2, and then one will have a different set of 2. And it's like they just do that, and then so then that way every week they're constantly have a new game on the eShop, and it's like you can't even find anything new on the eShop.
Researching for the new game segment is so difficult. Like, it is legitimately very hard for us to do because it is sifting through garbage after garbage game that is put on there. You know, as far as like my own personal concern, because most of what they try to focus on is not necessarily sales from software that's done through third party. They try to really keep a focus on their like first party in-house titles for the most part. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, they do make money off of that. Like, there's like what is it, like 33% of the money on that is made by Nintendo. And the developers get like close to maybe like 8% of it, and the rest of it's through like all the other publishers and everything else that money gets it. But what I really think is one of the biggest problems for this upcoming fiscal year is the fact that, okay, look, we're not mid-February, beginning of February. I mean, I'm extending a little bit, but we're at the beginning of February. Everybody's sitting and waiting for just some sort of news. And I know I'm burning a little bit of topic here, but we have like one game on the horizon that we have a definite release date for. And everything else is just in limbo where it's like, hey, we've told you this exists, but just you wait until we tell you what exists on it. And you know the thing I'm talking about, and you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's like no software that's been announced for them to help boost this Q1, Q2, Q3 for the Nintendo Switch that we as fans and gamers know about or care about. And it's kind of frustrating that like literally we have nothing to look forward to except Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I mean, what are you running out to pick up on the Nintendo Switch? Last week we had Citizen Sleeper 2. That's awesome, but it doesn't make Nintendo a whole ton of money because it's not a crazy expensive game. But even beyond that, like it's also a very niche game. It's also an indie game, so they're not going to sell bang bucks copies of it either. So that's not going to boost that fiscal year 2025 Q1 through Q3 forecast up that much. And that's also not part of that, obviously. But that's the biggest thing that I think is detracting from this is that, yes, we have some people that are kind of sitting and waiting and going, Switch 2 is coming out. Do I really want to go out and buy a new Nintendo Switch? Do I want to buy an OLED? Do I want to buy a Lite? The answer is probably no, because they're trying to save for that actual like Switch 2 console launch to be able to pick that up. It's crazy to me, kind of going into that next portion of this topic, it's crazy to me that, I'm scrolling a little bit. In their consolidated financial forecast, they talked about hardware. Previous forecast, they lowered it by 12%, so they anticipated to do 12.5 million units. Still trailing toward to try to take that down, that Nintendo DS overall sales for hardware. But it was a 12% deficit from what they originally had planned. And then the software had a 6.3% deficit from what they originally planned, which is 10 million unit difference. Annual dividend down 13 yen on average. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that like they have forecasted, and they said this is what we were originally stating at the last meeting. This is what we're stating now. Like, it is hard. Like they're that 12.5 million units down to 11 million units. I mean, you think about how many dollars are generated. And granted, like consoles, Nintendo's like probably the only console maker out there that really makes money off of their consoles still yet. Because they do use cheaper stuff in it. They don't do anything stupid. But the hardware and the software being forecasted to be down, part of me blames them. Like, legitimately, part of me blames Nintendo for that, because they're not putting out any software that's going to be a banger. Emperor Gambessa in the live chat, Xenoblade Chronicles X is going to get screwed by Nintendo again. First time trapped on the Wii U, second time released in the shadow of the Switch 2. And he's right. He is absolutely right. I think Xenoblade Chronicles X is absolutely going to get lambasted. And maybe I'm not using that word right. Nolan will let me know. He is my grammar police. But the hardware being down, there's a part of me that really legitimately does have to believe, like, people are still waiting. I mean, you still have some people that aren't hardcore Nintendo gamers that are going to go out and buy this Nintendo console for the grandkids because they don't know any better. But at the same time, like, that's a lot of dollars lost from a deficit.
Yeah, and I will say, with with them and the way that they're handling this, it's like we got what, and then to start off the year, it's like they didn't really do anything to excite us with Donkey Kong
No.
HD.
If anything,
Donkey Kong
all the
Country
press it
Returns
got
HD.
was bad. Like, it was like bad. It wasn't a bad game. It just was not what the original was.
Right.
And
people were complaining about it being 60. People were complaining about just not looking like I mean, I guess they did what they wanted to. They made it look like how you remembered it as opposed to how it actually looked on the Wii.
mhm.
But still, it was like a port of the 3DS version pretty much
Yes.
without the 3D.
Yep. It
Glasses
absolutely
3D.
was.
And then, yeah, we're going to get Xenoblade. The only saving grace for Xenoblade will be if Xenoblade is gets any sort of like frame rate improvements on the Switch 2. That'll be the only
I
thing.
do believe that Nintendo's done a really good job capturing people who would be interested in the Xenoblade franchise as a whole. I do think they've done a really good job bringing that back to the forefront of people's minds with the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and then Torna Golden Country. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did really, really well as well. The re-release of Xenoblade Chronicles from the Wii era also did really good. I think overall, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition will probably do well. Like, it will probably do well. But I also believe that, like, there is something to be said that it could do better, and it will obviously do better than it did on the Wii U. I think we can we can absolutely all agree it will do better than it did on the Wii U. But how much better? What percentage? Again, that's kind of, we talked about that one time before when they did a financial report and talked about how much better their games did, and I was like, but these are like minimal percents better when you consider your install base. Like, it's not, your install base is so significantly larger, and your percentage of your install base picking it up is only like 1% higher than what it was on the Wii U. Like, this is not, I mean, it's incrementally better, but not really that much better comparatively. Like, it didn't really grow quite the way you want it to.
Yeah. Plus, when they, how they got like it just surpassed what 150 million.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know, like, because they said one of the things they talked about on here was like 100. I think it said annual playing users, 129 million.
Yeah, which is not
Right.
something that I highlighted in our show notes. It was 129 million annual playing users, which is huge. That's
Right, but
huge.
I don't know, but that's not necessarily there's 129 million systems being played, because on my Switch I have like 7 accounts.
Mhm.
So if I were to put or do anything on those, one system could be multiple accounts, but still 129 million active users is still a lot.
Yep, and it does make me question, how engaged those people are with it. I mean, like, if you
How
go
active, yeah.
like
Like,
if
did
you
they
go
play
to
one
Super
game?
Nintendo Land too, like, you use your Nintendo account. Like, if you go to if you use any of the mobile apps that they put out, do they count that as well, or are they just counting legitimately only people who are playing on their Nintendo Switch consoles? That's kind of the question that I have surrounding this specific number, because a lot of times there's conflagration between.
Well, this does say Nintendo Switch annual playing users.
Well, hold on. It says Nintendo Switch hardware sell-through and annual playing users.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch.
But not always
It's
on
Nintendo
Nintendo
Switch.
Switch. They're wanting to talk about engagement as a company and give any one good thing that they can actually talk about in this. And that's how I
Right.
read this.
Well, no, but it's not Nintendo Switch hardware's sell-through. It's Nintendo Switch, whatever that thing is, and then it says hardware sell-through and annual playing users. It doesn't say like Nintendo accounts.
You may be correct. You may be correct. I've worked a lot in these corporate environment pages though, and I can tell you they will look for anything to make it look a little bit better. Part of me believes that there's an extent of this that is because there is an extent of this that is, I don't know how accurate that number is when you consider how many millions of consoles they've actually sold. I mean, to have that many people using their stuff annually, at least on a console, to have that many users, like it is difficult for me to go, okay, compared to how many consoles they've sold, that's what, like an 83% of consoles sold, everyone's using their console at least once a year.
Right. Well, yeah.
That's hard to believe. I'm sorry. I have a hard time looking at that and going, yeah, that's an accurate number.
Annual playing users, not systems used.
That's what I'm saying is maybe they are using those accounts and counting those accounts that are being used through third-party services like their mobile apps and mobile games, and this is like engagement through their multiple IP avenues, right? Like that's what I'm talking about, because they shared this on the same slide, but there's a very clear divide in the middle of that slide to show this is our global sell-through, and then these are our annual playing users. Maybe not on the Nintendo Switch though, because they don't have to share whether or not it was actually on a system or not. They just have to show engagement, and that's ultimately what they want. It says it as two separate statements: Nintendo Switch hardware sell-through and annual playing users. Two separate statements.
Nintendo Switch annual playing users. It
doesn't
right
say
there.
Nintendo Switch annual playing users. It says Nintendo Switch hardware sell-through and annual playing users.
No, it says Nintendo Switch. You're not doing a pause between Switch and hardware. You're saying it like it's one sentence, which it is not.
This is one half of it though. And yes, it's Nintendo Switch hardware sell-through. But it is not Nintendo Switch and annual playing users.
It's That's exactly what it is. What are you talking about?
It is not. I stand by it. I have a hard time believing 83% of people are engaging with that console.
So then when they're talking about the slide above where they're talking about software, are they counting then all of the mobile apps that they sell too? This doesn't count just the game sales?
This is labeled differently. This is sales status of Nintendo Switch sell-in. So these are game sales on this slide. Is that what you're talking about? This slide in particular? These are game sales, and they show what percent of those quarterly unit sales trends are. This is a totally different category too. This is
it just says software. It doesn't say Nintendo Switch software.
What are you talking about?
Where it just says
where?
Right there at the bottom.
This
the
right
bottom
here?
row. It just says software. It doesn't say Nintendo Switch software.
What other software are they selling though?
My goodness, it's like we're at a crossroads.
We are at a crossroads. What other software are they selling? Like a legitimate question.
They're selling Animal Crossing on iOS and Android.
That is true. And I mean, they could be counting that as a unit sold too. Like they could be counting that as a unit sold too to say, hey, this is what we've got. But that impact is so minimal.
I don't really care about it, so I don't know why we're arguing about it.
Because I think they're lying about the 129 million, and you're like, no, they're not. Nintendo will never lie to us. And I'm like, they would. It's corporate America.
I don't think they're lying. I'm telling you that
corporate Japan
played through multiple accounts on one system. So I'm saying I could see more people having multiple accounts on their system. And I played, like I would play it with my my ex and I. We would play, what's the name of that one game with all the board games?
Clubhouse 51.
Yeah. We would play Yahtzee, and we would just play it on on the Switch Lite because it was easier to pass back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just play it on the Switch Lite, and then I would be logged in on my name, she would be on hers, and we would just pass it back and forth. And that was the only time she ever played the Nintendo Switch. But you do that, and then that's how you get 129 million people.
I'm looking up how many Nintendo Switch Online accounts are currently active worldwide.
Nintendo Switch Online?
Yeah.
Is it not in the show notes?
It wasn't part of this. It wasn't part of this briefing.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it.
No. So as of November 6th,
well,
they have
listed on
34 million subscribers. 34 million subscribers to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
wouldn't be surprised if somewhat.
so you're saying that 34 million plus the ones that you have on your console equates to 129 million people engaging with their Nintendo Switch annually?
I'm saying you don't need to have a
This
Nintendo
year?
Switch Online account.
You don't have to.
You don't even have to have a Nintendo account. You're still connected online when you're playing. Like if you have a guest coming on and playing.
Tomato.
I'm just saying. I'm saying they're being very lackadaisical with how they count 129 million. If you load up a 2-player game by accident, they'll be like, oh, there's 2 people, and that's how they'll count. I'm saying that they'll count them even if they've played 15 seconds.
Okay, that's even worse. I mean, that is worse in some ways. Yeah, that is worse. So they're inflating their numbers, tomato, one way or the other. I think it's something more nefarious. You think it's just you just think it's. I think they're lying and counting all of their like extended IP stuff. You think they're lying and just counting all the people who logged in once on accident.
Or people that do,
Switch.
like it's like, oh, I'm gonna play this with,
They go to a party, take Mario Kart 8.
Let's go play Mario Party. Yeah, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
8 people sign in as guests. They all count as new people.
That would be that is also malicious at that point.
Well, that's how you get 129 million. Okay.
Yeah, that's
They
fair.
couldn't squeeze 130.
That's fair. That's
They
fair.
tried.
They did talk a
Not enough
little
people downloaded Nintendo Music.
on that specific slide that you were talking about here too. They did talk a
The
little bit
sales
about sales status of Nintendo Switch. A little bit about what they're forecasting for what is going to be their biggest push for games within that fiscal year 25 Q1 through Q3 that have already been revealed. The first one on this was Super Mario Party Jamboree with 6.17 million units. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still continuing to sell well with 5.38 million units. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom with 3.91 million units. And Nintendo Switch Sports, which on the show notes that I sent to you, I put a bunch of question marks after because like that game, it kind of blows me away that game is expected to continue to sell 2.63 million units this year. I mean, what other games have sold 2.63 million units that have been that bad? Like, can you tell me? Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know how many. That's a good question. I was trying to look up Paper Mario compared to like Brothership.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there'll be. You look that up. We'll get to that on the next slide because they also talked about actual sales of games since launch. Just a little bit down.
It is like you said. Sorry, the interesting that they put Nintendo Switch Sports.
Mm-hmm. Like why that title? Out of all the titles, why that title? And do they expect that to continue? Does that sell better than we just like expect it to? By show of hands, hang on. Let me start a poll here in the chat. I don't know how many of you guys are actually listening, but I'm going to start a poll here in the chat. Did you buy Switch Sports? Buy Switch Sports. By show of hands and by answering this poll. No, don't allow additional votes. I'm going to start this for 5 minutes because I'm curious because I did. I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. Did you buy it, Chris?
I did buy it. Yeah,
Okay.
I played it a lot.
So there's 2 votes for yes. And I know, like, we're not the typical crew here, right? Like, it is not, like, if you're here, you're watching this, you're pretty much buying most every Nintendo Switch game that comes out in some ways.
Yeah. Except for that fitness game that they just
Ring
kinda
Fit?
published.
Oh, fitness
No.
boxing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't buy that one. Probably should have, just that way I could, like, talk about it. But I didn't buy that one. But
Well, they only published it in America. I think another company published it.
I voted yes on Switch Sports. Did you also vote yes?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so
I
we're
think
the
it's
2
just
votes,
us.
and then there's one person who did not. So, like,
Yeah.
it is curious to me, like, what they're doing with that. Like, I know my sister didn't buy it. She also has not bought a Nintendo Switch except once. So, like, but, you know, it is what it is.
Sierra, please.
Right, Sierra, please. But then they went into Switch first-party software sell-through, and this is to date numbers, and then what this fall off is. You can kind of see global first-party software sell-through total for April through December, in fiscal year of 2025. Honestly, still not a bad year when you compare it to 2019. Right before COVID happened.
2019, yeah.
It's like
That was
almost
like a
even.
lifetime ago.
It
Yeah.
was, but that's like still even. But when you compare it to the drop off from 2024 to that, holy cow. You voted no, but you got the game from a friend when you bought a ton of his games at once. So you didn't buy it new from the publisher. That changes things too. And you bought it in a bundle, Emperor Gambessa. But they also talked about some of the new titles that sold well throughout the holiday season. Echoes of Wisdom at 3.4 million units. Mario Party Jamboree at 5.6, Mario and Luigi Brothership at 1.4 million. And I'm like, I want to talk a little bit about that in particular. That game was said to have sold poorly. In Nintendo's eyes, I'm sure it did, right? Because previous entries did really well. It got kind of cut apart on review sites. A lot of people complaining about its length, a lot of people complaining about its visual fidelity, a lot of people complaining about some of the story structure and the things that they chose to do. A lot of people complaining about the fact that Mario and Luigi Brothership is literally Mario Brothership because you really don't control Luigi except in battle.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of negative press surrounding that led to that number being 1.4 million units. If it did not get the press that it got, toward the poor direction in terms of reviews, I think that one probably would have been on par with Echoes of Wisdom. But I'm also very surprised at how little Echoes of Wisdom has sold when you compare it to Super Mario Party Jamboree. Because Super Mario Party Jamboree, Zelda typically sells really well, even 2D Zeldas. And Echoes of Wisdom just did not keep up with the rest of those titles on this list. Are people tired of Zelda? Or were people upset that it was Zelda and not Link? And I know I didn't do it any favors talking about it before it came out. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to play as conflagrated Link where I'm trying to throw out it, like all the battles are puzzles at that point instead of like me actually being able to swing a sword and slash. And then I played it and I really liked it. I gave it an 83. But I think leading up to it, there was a lot of confusion about what that game was actually going to play like. And I don't think they showed enough of how it controls.
Yeah. Well, I think some of it was just people like Mario Party. If somebody is buying a gift for somebody, the holiday season, they don't know what someone wants. They're like, oh, Mario Party. That's the new Mario Party. I'll get them that. But then they see Zelda on there. And it doesn't look like a 3D game, right?
Yeah.
It's not Mario. Maybe once the movie comes out, Zelda will be
back at the top again. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom has not done well in terms of Nintendo's eyes. It has not outsold Breath of the Wild. That game continues to sell like gangbusters, and Tears of the Kingdom just has not kept up. It's crazy to me that Breath of the Wild continues to sell as good as it does, and Tears of the Kingdom doesn't get looked at.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom sold a lot in the first quarter, and then after that, it just barely selling anything.
it just makes me really wonder, like, what was it? We had, okay, if we take out your and my vote on the did you buy Nintendo Switch Sports, it is 100% no. So maybe I overestimated what our audience is like. But like Emperor Gambessa says they Googled how much 1-2 Switch sold, and it said it sold 3.74 million copies. Total overall sales. Now, granted, that was a $50 tech demo. It should have been bundled in. It shouldn't have been $50 if they weren't going to bundle it. And because I've played that game, I own that. You know what? I should just play it. I should have Trip come down and we should just play it together on stream one night and like just reminisce over how bad it is. But 3.74 million copies sold at a time when really you had 1-2 Switch Snipper Clips at Breath of the Wild and that was it, versus Mario and Luigi Brothership doing 1.4 million, Echoes of Wisdom doing 3.4, and Jamboree doing nearly double. It's crazy. Well, not quite double, like 75% more.
Right. Plus the power of a launch title, because you have a launch title.
Yeah.
People want something at launch. Then not only that, but then you have that game being like in a bunch of the ads and stuff and showing off the Joy-Con.
Right.
And people will be like, oh, this is like, the new Nintendo Switch.
I will say that game did everything that like Astrobot's Playroom did for the PS5 in a really good way, but not as good as what Astrobot's Playroom did.
What? 1-2 Switch?
Yeah. They showed off what the system was capable of, but that was pretty much it. Like Astro's Playroom was an actual game that also showed off what that console could do.
Yeah, but one was bundled in, one was $50.
Mm-hmm.
And then ARMS, as of 2022, sold 2.7 million.
So sad. That guy, I really wanted that guy. How did freaking Min make it into Super Smash Bros. With sales numbers like that? They might as well
I think
put
it was
in
because Sakurai liked her.
That's
He
true.
liked ARMS.
She had a really cool
said,
look, and ARMS was fun.
All it takes is for him to like a game, and it's gonna be bada bing, bada bang.
Man, we just need to make a game that he likes, and we'll get something into Smash.
Yeah, like it's like wild how much effort he put into, like Steve for Minecraft. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it would be awesome if he did, Captain, what's his name?
Planet.
Captain Toad.
Oh, Captain Toad. Yeah.
Or with no jump button.
That'd be interesting. But no aerials? Man, that'd be so hard in that game. It's a platform fighter at the end of its day.
I wouldn't be surprised if they at least talked about it. But yeah, that Mario Party, they just keep getting better and better.
I would agree. I would 100% agree.
They keep selling better and better. Plus this one, they showed off like, oh, it's got 20-player multiplayer and all that stuff.
Yep. Fastest selling Mario Party that has ever came out, which was an interesting highlight in this document. Like I was like 5.6 million units within 11 weeks since release. Like that's crazy. Mario Party Superstars did really well. Super Mario Party also did really well, but then had an intense drop off because people just did not like that game. And I didn't really see the issue with it. I enjoyed Super Mario Party.
Well, plus that one you were required to use a Joy-Con. Remember back in the day?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Can't play this game on a Switch Lite,
There's going to be a couple of games that require that mouse controls.
Well, and then they'll get lambasted and not sell enough, and then they'll abandon the mouse controls.
Or it'll sell and then won't sell.
Yep.
Like it'll fall off just like that. But
I don't know. Like it was interesting to see all of that in terms of stuff. Something else notable on here, the digital sales. I wasn't going to talk about this. I almost glossed over it almost entirely, but they talked about like their forecast for fiscal year sales, digital sales in particular. Last year, 346.4 billion yen. This year, 245.8 billion yen, a 29% deficit. But here's the important thing here, and again, it's they don't really have the software to push that they're wanting to include in the reporting. Here's where it got interesting: 48.1% was a proportion of digital sales. So what that means is proportional dedicated to the video game platform software sales. So it's talking about the comparison between digital and physical media. But it was 48.1% digital sales for fiscal year 24, up 2.9 points. 51% is what they're expecting. So we're starting to see like a trend of digital sales become the thing that is going to happen. I can tell you this much: when Switch 2 launches, I will be going exclusively digital on that console. It will be the very first console that I have ever done exclusively digital for. And look, before everybody comes after me and says, "Well, what about your physical media? Do you really own it?" Do I really own it? Listen, between water damage, between time, between battery corrosion, between pin corrosion, between me having to repair something if it's not working, do I really own it anyway? If you look up disk rot, it is a thing. A lot of GameCube games are already experiencing that. Things that you paid like $80, $90 for now to recollect, yeah, it works, but for how much longer? Physical media can only be preserved so long. And yeah, I know I'm buying something digitally and I'm never going to get it. If Nintendo follows the track that Steam has followed, and it seems like they're looking at almost doing that with Switch going into Switch 2, I'm not going to have to worry so much about not having my library, 2-3 generations from now. The hope is that they do stick to that ecosystem and that they keep it backwards compatible, and that backwards compatible just drops out of the vocabulary. It doesn't matter. Just build your ecosystem good enough to where it can play all the games that you've bought digitally. Don't rob me. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Just let me play them. Plus, I think that number would be a lot higher, at least like 60%, if in Japan, the digital price for games are usually, for the physical games, the first party and even third party, like the Dragon Quest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually like $20 to $30 more
physically
digital than it is.
Oh, digitally.
Yeah.
So flip-flopped. It's more expensive to buy it digitally in Japan than it is to buy it physically in Japan.
Because it has like the MSRP in Japan for the digital, but a lot of places are able to sell it for cheaper physically.
Well, I mean, you still see that from time to time. For the most part, you still see that from time to time within retailers here.
But this is across the board for the games. They're just day one cheaper.
That's crazy. Especially with the amount of waste that they are trying to curb. That is so crazy that's a thing that they do. I don't know. I don't necessarily want a discount on the game, right? I don't want a discount on buying a digital title. I wouldn't mind it if they were, physical titles are $10 more than the digital ones, and they do that from still. Hello Kitty Island Adventure, it's getting ready to launch physically in March, I think, and that's $60 there, but you can get it for $40 digitally right now. They did that with Pikmin. Yeah. They did that with Pikmin 1 and 2, right? Or did they do a physical version of that? No, they did a physical. No, they didn't.
Later.
Yeah. And it was more expensive to get it physically. Metroid Prime Remastered, same deal. I bought it digitally.
50?
Yeah.
50 digital.
And 60 physically.
60 physical.
I don't necessarily need that. I don't need that to incentivize myself to go digital. It would be really nice if that was something they did. Basically, the thing that I think has helped inflate that number year over year is the fact that I don't know how many times I've went to a store to try to pick up a physical version of a brand new game and had to have a fight with a cashier to tell them it did come out today. Look at your marketing. Yeah. I promise it came out today. It came out today. Can you go get your copies from the back, please? It's especially when they made that transition from Fridays to Thursdays, that's made that fight even harder.
Oh yeah, because people think, oh no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. But also, what's made it difficult is the amount of physical copies that they're shipping out on day one. For the most part, Nintendo's only shipping out what covers pre-orders, and for the longest time, I was a hardcore pre-orderer. I pre-ordered every game. Partly because I worked at GameStop. Now, I don't pre-order every game, even though I know I'm going to get it. I just don't want to wait because most of the time they only want to ship to you. They don't want me to pre-order it at the store and go pick it up. They want to ship it to me, and that's the last thing I want to do is wait and maybe not get it on the day of release.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm getting it on the day of release, it doesn't matter to me how much it is.
If I'm getting it on day of release, but it's never guaranteed.
Yeah.
If it comes through FedEx, I will tell you one thing. We have a distro center for FedEx right now that's not that far away. They literally have backed up, hey, we'll get to this when we feel like we can get to it. Shipping boxes that are just sitting there waiting. We'll have stuff get delayed for, 2, 3, 4 a week, days worth of time. And it's like, I don't want to chance that either. So that's why I am so ready to just go full digital on this next console because of that alone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That way you don't have to worry about it. You'll have it at midnight.
Yeah.
You can preload it.
I had considered doing an Australian account for the next one, for the next console. So that way I could get it the day early on Wednesday at like 8 p.m. or whatever time it released. I think it's 8. And I would do that, but Nintendo has already made it to where, or they're getting ready to make it. It goes in effect on March 25th, I believe, where if you are on the Japanese eShop and you use an American PayPal or debit card to be able to pay for something, it will decline the card. So you have to have a Japanese bank account to be able to buy on Japanese eShop starting March. I didn't put that in the show notes. I should have.
Wait, what was it?
They announced starting in March of 2025 that they are now going to decline American debit cards and PayPal cards if you were trying to buy stuff on the Japanese eShop.
Okay, yeah. Well, they would do it for certain cards. They would allow it. But anytime I would get something from there, I just go to like PlayAsia and get like a eShop card.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's really what you're probably going to have to do if you want to be able to do stuff on there in order to actually buy stuff. It's crazy that they're declining that too. But I guess Nintendo just doesn't want people circumventing their systems that they have in place. It's some sort of protection of their IP that I don't understand, but it seems like such a waste of time. And it seems like just another way to stop themselves from being able to make money. Emperor Gone Best, I missed the midnight releases at GameStop. I still remember waiting outside and talking with fans for games like Smash Bros. 3DS and Pokemon. Nintendo, that's another thing, is like it had to be a very special release for when I was working at GameStop for us to even be able to do a midnight for. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we did a midnight release for. Super Mario Odyssey, we did a midnight release for. Legend of Zelda, I'm pretty sure we did a midnight release for. But most of the time, we didn't really get to do midnight releases for Nintendo stuff because we weren't going to make enough money to justify staying open for those physical games. Because we only got the pre-ordered copies in. And if you didn't drive pre-orders beyond, like 3 times beyond what their forecast was, there was no way they were going to give you the hours allocated to be able to do a midnight release for it. And I do remember those days, and I miss those days too. I loved being able to talk with fans. And unfortunately, it just doesn't exist anymore. So I guess I'm going to sit home and and be lame and download a game off the internet and then immediately start playing it.
Imagine that, like just instantly, like not having to worry about it. The fact that you can like pre-order them and get them the day before, not the day before, a week ahead of time, you can download it.
Yep, installed. Ready to go.
Yeah, and I guess it works out well with Nintendo pretty much having games done like 6 months in advance so that they already got like the day one patch ready and it's ready to go.
Right. There were a couple more slides that were on here. Nothing super earth-shattering. We got a reconfirmation of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD that just came out on the 16th of January. A reconfirmation for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition's date being March 20th, 25. 2 others on here. Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Both of those still yet with a 2025 release date on it. I mean, I'm excited for both of those games. but there's nothing earth-shattering here. Then they wrapped it up with the Nintendo Switch 2 to be released in 2025, which is a big deal, obviously, for Nintendo. That's going to make tons of money. And then a confirmation that the Nintendo Direct will air on April 2nd. If you're in the European regions, or people who write their dates like this, no, it was not today, the 4th of February. And then kind of citing the Nintendo Switch 2 experience events that are held in various cities worldwide, which is not all that earth-shattering. Some more news surrounding their experiences, their IP experiences, like the Donkey Kong Country area that opened December in Universal Japan, and then Super Nintendo World opening at Universal Epic Universe in Orlando, scheduled for May. And that's like really the end of the fiscal document. There were a couple interviews that happened, though, and one of them came from, because Furukawa went on to talk, he's the president, he went on to talk with the Sankei Shimbun. He said, we don't think the impact of refraining from purchasing, because what they had asked was, you know, do they understand why the financial forecast of consoles sales dipped by 30%? And sales of Switch 1 software also slumped. He went on to state, we don't think the impact of refraining from purchasing because of Switch 2 is that great. We think it's a solid 8th year, but we haven't reached our target. That is the most corporate, like, hey, buy a Switch answer that you could possibly give.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like, what is he supposed to say?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know what other answer you would expect to get from a question like that.
Like you ask the president of a company why his sales are down by 30%. He's not going to go, because we announced the Switch 2. Like, what kind of reporting is that? Like, and obviously it is the most canned response. There's not, dude, you put that man in a lie detector, I think you would see that line go crazy on the screen. Like, oh, he's lying.
Right, yeah.
It's definitely because of the Switch 2. Do I still think Switch 1 is going to sell well? Yes. 3DS continued to sell until it was sold out. They are going to break records with the Switch 1. Still yet to this day. It is going to be the highest selling system, period. Handheld, home console, does not matter, that has ever been created. I fully believe that. Is it going to happen this year? Is it going to happen next year? Time will tell. But before Switch 1s are all gone off of the store shelves, it will hit it. I fully believe that.
I think,
yes, you have more. I was waiting.
No, I was going to say I totally agree. Especially because they're still going to have, even if it's just a few games that are on both systems, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's still going to be people buying the Switch. And I'm sure if Nintendo is like super close, they might end up like even going through and like I don't think they would drop the price, but they'll have a bunch of bundles.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, even to this day, they haven't had a price drop. They've only went up in price on Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Like,
with OLED.
There have been sales. Well, they even increased the price in Japan on the console.
Right. Yeah.
But
the only thing is with the Switch Lite, I guess.
Yeah.
How it came out, but I mean, at that point, it's just a Nintendo. Not even Switch. It's just a Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a Nintendo Switch, not Switch.
It's a Nintendo Switch in name.
Mm-hmm. Then he had another interview with Nikkei. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. They had asked him what they are doing to try to head off stock shortages for the Nintendo Switch 2. And Furukawa was quoted as saying, "We will take all possible measures based on the experience we have accumulated to date regarding scalpers and the like. We are making preparations." I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, are you making preparations to murder the scalpers and the like, or are you like, what does that translate to? And I think ultimately it's delaying and delaying and delaying an actual like release of it, so they have the stock, so people don't go, Nintendo, you said this, why not? Why no in GameStop right now? Why can't I no buy?
Right. Yeah. Unless there is, unless the whole reason they had Labo was to test out, okay, you need to have a Nintendo Switch Online subscription in order to buy the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way they can get the people that have a Switch 2 that will pay to get it from Nintendo and actually will use it.
Yep. But even better, you must have a Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansions account. let's take it even higher.
Yeah.
First cut, you guys get first set, and then everyone, the other Nintendo Switch Onlines can do the next wave of ordering. And then, could you imagine the pandemonium that would happen? They did say an earlier Nikkei report. Nintendo had planned to launch Switch 2 in late 2024, but priority was given to ensure initial inventory of the successor console and lineup of software titles would be there at time of launch. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of news there, kind of regarding it, what they're doing to it and for it. That kind of does lead me into my final point, my final question tonight is, how do you think this affects people's perception of Nintendo Switch 2? And does it worry you at all for the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 in terms of money that could be made, or whether or not they're going to be ready for that? Or even more so, are we just going to get tired of waiting before it gets launched?
I don't think we're going to get tired of waiting. I think it's going to be a long, 2 months until we get to March or April. It's going to be slow Nintendo news.
Mm-hmm.
And based on like the things I've been hearing about some of the games that are supposed to be there coming to the Switch, like some of them have already gotten announced for other platforms after they announced
Hi-Fi Rush 2.
But they haven't announced the Switch 2 version. So it's like nobody is announcing anything until April 2nd. But then I think after April 2nd, everyone and their publisher is going to be announcing the Switch 2 versions of their games.
Mm-hmm.
From 2019, probably 2016 onward, games that, couldn't or wouldn't run well on the Switch 1, and they didn't want to have a cloud version. We're going to get so many games on there. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a bunch of Switch 2 games that come out of Switch 1 games that are already out, and then they're just going to charge you again for it rather than give you a free upgrade.
Yeah.
For a lot of like the third party and the indie games.
Yep.
Especially because those were specifically made ports for the Switch 1, and they're going to have to be specifically made ports again for the Switch 2, that it's not going to be like some of those games like for PS4 to PS5 where
it just uses the PS4 infrastructure.
Yeah, that just kind of gets a patch to improve the, like, I feel like a number of the games, it's just going to have to be a totally different game.
Yep. I mean, you look at stuff like Control, which is probably like one of the best cloud-based games that are on there.
Yeah, it's got ray tracing.
Maybe get a native release of that one, because it can use the power of the Switch 2 to actually look good.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Oh, no, are they even on there?
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
On the cloud. Yeah.
That's another one that you may actually finally see. Even though I do question why 1.5 and 2.5 never did make it over to the Switch in a native release. It's so weird to me.
I feel like it's because they just did.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing the cloud version, and they were like, "Oh, it'll just be cheaper to do it this way."
Right. I will say I don't think we have anything to worry about for Nintendo. Like, I'm not out here crying tears for big Nintendo out there losing money. Like, they're going to continue to make money, right?
I feel like they knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
I'm
surprised that
they didn't really mention it.
Investors presentation, like, hey, we think we're going to do 30% less than what we told you last time we met.
Right, yeah. Right.
It is interesting.
And I think it's because there is such a sharp... This is why they didn't announce it in October, because there is such a sharp drop-off.
Yep.
Once they announce the Switch 2, it's like, oh, there are a lot of people that just are done with the Switch 1 now, waiting for the Switch 2.
Well, again, maybe at that last investors meeting where they had these numbers, maybe their original intention was to launch it like Nikkei reported in the end of 2024. Maybe that's what it was, and they were like, okay, well, no, we need to dial back our sales results right now for regular Nintendo Switch and just say, hey, this is where we're at, but we don't have anything extra to kind of put on the paper for you.
Right.
And I think that ultimately that's kind of where they land. I'm not worried about Nintendo Switch 2 at all. I am not worried about Nintendo Switch 2 at all. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to bolster their sales numbers significantly, especially if it launches by Q2. At the very least, by Q2.
Right. Yeah. End of May, beginning of June, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it will be their Q1.
Bet.
I think it will be their Q1. I really do. Because you've got March, April,
Q1
May. Q1 will end in May.
Okay, so then it might come out like the last week
of April.
Last week of May.
That's what I meant. Sorry, I'm brain dead right now. I've been live for way too long. Last week of May, leading into the first week of June, maybe somewhere in that ballpark can bolster that Q2 just a little bit more for them. I think it'd be interesting. That being said, rumor of a Nintendo Direct this month. We'll wait and see. I'm not going to hold our breath.
Switch 1.
Yep, Switch 1, not Switch 2 stuff. So don't get your hopes up. But
we're due.
Yeah, I mean, you can always dream. Silk Song coming to Switch 1 and not Switch 2.
Kid Icarus Uprising.
I'm about to uprise. Speaking of uprising, let's see if this transition plays.
Okay, no, I guess it didn't. No.
It played the music and then flashed an arrow on the screen. It was like, all right, I guess we're done.
Nailed it.
Chris, do you want to tell the people about what games are coming out this week?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll tell you. Let's get these show notes up, because we got coming tomorrow is While Waiting. It is $19.99. It's a game that's all about waiting. You're just doing a lot of waiting. So basically what happens is you are sitting there, you got you can see like the stickers in the top right, and it's like the stickers will kind of give you a hint. You open up a notepad and it'll have a corresponding sticker to it, and you don't have the sticker in your notepad, and you'll see like, hey, you'll get the sticker if you do this, and then it'll tell you what you need to do, but it doesn't actually tell you. It's kind of like a vague hint of what you need to do. And then it'll be like, oh, just sit there and just wait the whole time for it to end. Like the game starts off. I should say I got a code for this game on Steam, beat it. Can't talk about the game till tomorrow when it goes live. Comes out tomorrow for $19.99. But I did play the demo. It's the Steam Nexus demo, and it's kind of like the first few levels. And so in the demo, you and the full game, you start off waiting to be born, right? And then there's like a bunch of stuff happening. You're like a little, like, you look like a spirit getting ready to dive in, and right there. You're just waiting. But then down below, there's like a little boat going by, and you can land on the boat. And then if you land on the boat properly, there's like a thing waiting for you, and if you like hide behind the guy that you jump on the boat with, it will take him instead of you, right? And so that'll be one of your missions complete. Then the other one is just like wait, like that image right there, wait to block the ball.
Yeah.
You're constantly waiting. So if you want to not do anything and you just sit there and don't touch anything, that's it. That's the game. I should say it's like 2D art style, like hand drawn, and it looks really good. There's another one where this was in the demo as well, where you got to go to the bathroom really bad, but one stall is not available. The other stall, there's someone in there, so you can do something to get the person that's in the stall out of it, or just wait until the very last second and go to the bathroom. And they kind of have like a representation, like the way like the key art is, where it's like a bunch of like almost like a storyboard or like a comic book, where it's like a bunch of different frames with different actions, where like when you're in the bathroom they show like a can of like just solid ham, and it's slowly coming out of the can, and it's like that's your visual representation of how bad you have to go to the bathroom. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
This game strikes me as one of those games that would give me existential dread. Like, I'm just like waiting. I feel like the final mission in this game is wait to die. Like, like it looks like, I mean, because you're kind of progressing through life. I mean, you've got unborn you waiting to be born. You got you as a kid on the soccer field.
Kid. Yeah, waiting in the car.
Doing a ride. And then you're like going to college or going on a trip somewhere, and you're older. And then looks like he finds his first real relationship, and he's an artist. Now he's wearing a watch, and he's got artwork, business stuff to do. I don't even, and like, I don't know. Like, I'm worried that this game would give me existential dread. Emperor Gombez in the live chat, a game about waiting, perfect for Nintendo Switch in 2025. Also cracking up. I don't know. It looks very cool. Who's it by? Who's the dev on this? Optilusion Games.
Optilusion Games.
Let's find out what they've done. Only that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, the more you know.
But yeah, while waiting, it comes out
tomorrow.
Very exciting. Yeah, check that out. But yeah, I was trying to think of what else they did, because I will say it's not on Switch, but it is on here. The demo. There's a demo. So if you have Steam, you can go ahead and pick up the demo. But anyway, the other game coming out, it comes out. Okay, so Civilization 7 is out February 11th for $59.99. This is the new Civ game. Civ 6 sold so well that they were like, there's no way we cannot have Civilization 7 at launch on the Switch. We need it.
I thought you were just going to stop at there's no way we can't have Civilization 7. Period.
Yeah,
but to have it at launch on the Switch, I mean, that's a big deal. It is a really, really big deal.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to sell really well. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll sell well on the Switch. I don't know how it'll perform on the Switch. It is Steam Deck verified, and I think this very well could be one of those games where either it does really well or it doesn't.
I think it'll do pretty well.
I mean, performs well.
I don't think it will perform well, but I think it will do pretty well.
Civ 6 performed pretty well on the Switch.
It will not be at the fidelity you would like, is what I'm saying.
Right,
like,
yes.
I don't think it's going to be, I mean, it's definitely not going to be what it's doing on a PC or on Xbox or on PlayStation.
But if you're playing it on this, a Switch Lite, I mean, I guess you already know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is out next Tuesday. However, if you pay $89.99 and get the digital deluxe edition, you can play it on Thursday. So on the 6th, you can start playing this game.
They also
there's
have a
an
Founders Edition too. Does that
the
wait till?
Founders Edition has so $89.99 edition gets you the digital deluxe, which gives you the game early, so you get to play it early, and it also has some like post-game content with different new civilizations and things. And then if you get the $120 one, I believe that gives you like even more expansions. Like it's like this. There's going to be like basically 2 seasons, like 1 season of content, which gives you 4 new civilizations. And then
they're doing a
the
Teku
second
Mesa.
one.
They're doing a Teku Mesa pack, and you also get a Shawnee pack. Is kind of what you're talking about, the two other civilizations that you
and
can
the
kind
right
of work
to
with.
rule. Yeah. So it's more. You get even more. Plus, like you get different characters. Plus, you'll get like it's also online multiplayer. But you could play a game and get like 100 years in and be like 3 hours in, and I just have to start over. I mean, that's Civ 7.
That is the nature of civilization. That is the nature of civilization. You could get 2,000 years in, and then World War III breaks out, and just have to start over.
You got no choice. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's out this week. And then that was pretty much the only one I really saw that is coming out this week.
This is only good stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of crazy good stuff this week. It was a little bit on the rough side. This whole week has been like dry on news. It's awful. I don't want to ever do this again. You know what we're gonna do next week?
I'll be honest.
Yeah, be honest.
I'll be honest. Listen, I'll tell you what happened. Before we started this episode, I was like, it'd be a really good idea if I go walk a few miles before the stream, before the show.
Was it a good idea?
It was a terrible idea. I got home like 10 minutes before we started. Before we got in the pre-show.
Oh man!
And I had like a hat on, and I had to take the hat off on the walk because it was so hot. And I was like, I'm taking this hat off, and I took the hat off. And then I got home, and I was like, it's like sitting inside. I was like, it's so hot in here. I'm going to go sit outside. And so I went and sat outside, and it was just terrible. It was dreadful.
It was awful. I'm sorry that you had to put yourself through that. You shouldn't have ever put yourself through that.
It was great planning on my part because I was going to do it earlier, but then I didn't.
Listen, I mean, I was doing the same. I planned on working on Nintendo Rewind stuff right up until before we went live, because I was live playing Earthbound, and then I was like, I'm gonna do the Nintendo news ticker, the ticker that's down there. Which, by the way, there's a whole bunch of news. If you're not like reading through that at least a little bit, because it's not long, but it's like important notes for what's going on in Nintendo as far as that goes, that we wouldn't like include as a full topic in the show. Please take a look down there. But I like waited until. Oh shoot! I waited until 8:35 to start working on that, and then I did that at least off and on, because then I got distracted because I had a buddy of mine came in and he was telling me that he found the Pokey and Mr. Saturn Earthbound plush set, but the shipping was like $28, and then he sent me the Hobonichi website where they have all the merch and all the new stuff that launched earlier this month for the 35th anniversary of Earthbound. I got stuck shopping. Not that I'm actually going to buy anything, but I would liked looking at it all. And then I was like, oh shoot, I got 10 more minutes. I need to finish this. So, like, it was a rush. It was poor planning. We both had poor planning, but you know who doesn't have poor planning?
Who?
NintendoRewind.com.
Oh, okay.
And if you go over there, you can find links to all of our social media garbage and everything. NintendoRewind.com. There's links to it in our chat here. There's links in the description down on YouTube. You can go and find all the stuff that you can connect with and connect to. But besides that, Chris, where can they find you?
You find me pretty much Super Nintendo on everything. That's about it. Yeah. What about you? Where can they find you?
Find me over at nerdwireplays.com or on twitch.tv/nerdwireplays, because I'm really bad with like the social media side of everything. I'm so bad at it. Like, I'm so bad at it. You guys are lucky that you see our thumbnails get tweeted out. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I'm so bad at it. But you can find me daily, pretty much, on Twitch somewhere. Most of the time on my own channel. Sometimes doing collab stuff on other channels. But twitch.tv/nerdwireplays. You can catch all of our past episodes in video form over on YouTube at youtube.com/@the Oh my goodness, I just burped. At the Nintendo Rewind. Visit our site for links to all of our social media pages at nintendorewind.com. And consider supporting the show through memberships over there as well, where you'll get exclusive content like the Nintendo Rewind. Rewind and replay VHS Nintendo Power promotional tapes series that we're going to be doing over there. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Remember, you can catch us weekly live right here on Twitch and on YouTube, 9:30 p.m. Tuesdays. Keep it locked in. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, please be kind and rewind, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Bye.